Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Super Mario 3D World. And this is a game that I actually played first on Wii U probably about a decade ago. And I was going to review it, and then I just kind of was dragging my feet for a while, and then it just felt like it was too long. I was like, I should probably play it again before I talk about it or whatever. And then I ended up getting this version and played this one. So now I've played through the game by myself, and now this one cooperatively with two people. So thanks, Furf. And I want to review it. Basically, that's why you're here. That's why I'm here. That's why we are here. So let's talk about it. I'm talking about both versions. We're not like talking about Bowser's Fury, so don't worry about that. I'll talk about that on its own later. But I'm mostly talking about these two versions because they're mostly the same, aside from a few differences. We'll get there. So the main plot here, if you want to call it that, in Super Mario 3D World is that basically you're walking along, and all of a sudden Bowser comes along. Or there's these fairies that you find, and Bowser comes along and kidnaps these fairies, and you chase after Bowser to save them. It's mostly that. So that's your plot. There's not a whole lot of story here. As far as the gameplay goes, the basic kind of setup here is that this is sort of a midway point between a side-scrolling course clear kind of Mario game and a 3D adventure kind of Mario game. All the levels you're playing through are three-dimensional, like movements and actions and things, but you're still mostly just trying to get to the flagpole at the end of each level, so you're still going level by level in these worlds full of levels. So it's kind of like a Super Mario World-esque overworld type of map thing, and the levels are just, 3 levels with course clear mentality. Within most of these levels, you'll probably find like 3 stars along the way to collect that are hidden throughout, and also 1 stamp. And the stamps don't really do anything anymore. They used to be for the Miiverse, and then the Miiverse got shut down. In the Switch version, you just kind of look at them in your collection and be like, ooh, I have it. It's mostly for completion. But the stars you will need to unlock certain levels later. Particularly some of these boss levels are usually going to require that. And there are lots of different kinds of levels as well. There's like your basic list going through the levels and doing the little gimmicks and things that these levels have. They all have their own kind of thing that they're doing. There's lots of creativity and different things they're trying with this. So there's a lot of different little like mechanics and like things to appreciate throughout the entire game. It definitely doesn't get real stale or repetitive in that sense. But there are also, beyond the normal levels you'll have, there are also some levels that are like mystery houses, which usually just have a series of mini challenges. Usually you can get a lot of stars out of these because each challenge gives you a star. So little bite-sized challenges done in like a marathon of all of them in a row, so you don't really know what's going to happen in there until you go in there and try them. There's also Captain Toad levels, which with these you have like more control over the camera to move it all the way around and up and down to really see these levels. But the thing is with Captain Toad is he can't jump. He can walk and sort of run, but he can really just fall. So it's more about moving him around, interacting with the way the level works, and maybe some level elements in here to like get all the stars there to beat those levels. And you may be familiar with Captain Toad also for having his own game spin-off from this game. So for general gameplay stuff, you're playing as, you can either play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad. So like, Mario's an all-around kind of character. Luigi has this like kind of higher sort of fluttery jump. Peach has the hover kind of thing in the air for a little bit. And then Toad is very fast. Which obviously kind of mirroring how it was in Super Mario Bros. 2, that kind of thing. And also you have a lot of like abilities that you can like do. You have a lot of moves right out of the gate, right? I mean, you can walk, run, jump. You have so many jumps. You got the regular jump, you got the side jump, you can duck and then jump. You can do a ground pound, and then you can jump out after that to get a little bit more height if you time it right. You can do long jump. You can roll, like a rolling jump, and spin around and end up doing like a big spinny jump. And there's a lot of things you can do in this game, which is maybe one of my complaints, is that while there's a lot of different like controls and things you can do, they don't really do a great job of explaining all of the things that you can do. And even if they do, there's a lot of times when you almost never need some of those things anyway, so it's weird that they're even in there. Like one of the things I found out very recently was that, if you're holding a Koopa shell and then you hit the crouch button, you'll go into the shell, so you can actually like run and like just go around, in a shell and hit things while you're inside of it, and have a slight control over where it goes, but not much. Yeah, I don't know when you'll use that, but you can do it. So there's a lot of things there that like you can do. Another like prominent mechanic in here, though, not a prominent mechanic. I'm sorry. Another mechanic that you can do in here that is sometimes helpful, depending on when you use it, I guess, but is only required for a few places. Is these like controls where there's certain things on the screen you can touch them. In the Wii U version, of course, you had to actually physically touch the screen where you wanted to touch things. And when you did that, you could like make certain platforms appear, or you could like kind of like stun enemies slightly. You could collect some coins and things with them. It was an ability to do some extra things there. But in the Switch version, you can't really do that when you're playing on console. In handheld mode, you can, but when it's docked, you can't do that. So in that version, they have a button you can press that makes a little hand appear, and then you can use that. And you push the button again to like make the hand like interact with things. And so I honestly think that's better in the sense that because you kind of can do both if you needed to, if you were going to play in handheld, but also then you don't have to take your hands off the controls like in the Wii U one and be like, oh, I have to take my hand off here to touch things on the screen and then go back, put on my hands on the controls again. I think that's probably a better solution to that. So I do think that's an improvement here. But there's a lot of things like that where there's a lot of cool things you'll do, but because there's so much variety, a lot of things aren't repeated, and a lot of your mechanics that you're like using, you may use like you'll learn it and maybe use it once or twice, and then by the time it would be helpful, in the few situations where it would be useful, you'll forget that you could even do it because you haven't had to use it for so long, and it hasn't been that useful for so long that you just kind of totally space it out like, oh yeah, I can do that, or I didn't even ever know I could do that because they don't tell you everything. But as you're going through and collecting these things and getting the stars, beating the levels, I mean, there's not a whole lot more to say, I guess, other than, some of the power-ups. Like, there's the boomerang power-up is a new one, where it's like, you can get that, and, like, that was, I think, from Super Mario 3D Land before this, but it's a fairly new one where you can throw a boomerang around to hit enemies and collect items. You can also get the bell to get a cat suit. And when that's the kind of the staple one, that's the big highlight thing for this game. That's the highlight power up is you get the cat suit on. It gives you like a swiping attack when you attack. If you jump in an attack, you do like a diagonal lunge downwards, and then it also allows you to climb up walls. So there's a lot of things that will use that to your advantage. It can be very helpful. You can use it to climb up flagpoles. That's the kind of thing you're doing. But yes, most of the levels are going through them, getting the stars, and getting the flagpole at the end. It's mainly the goal of the game. This kind of midway point between the 2D, the side-scrolling and the 3D kind of like mentalities. Some exploration, but it's still focused on clearing courses. And there's a number of worlds to do, a number of bosses to fight, some familiar faces, and it can get kind of difficult, which is where another one of these power-ups comes in. If you die a bunch of times on a level and you're not able to beat it, it's like 5 times or something in a row, I think, without beating it, you'll actually be given a little box that shows up at the beginning of the level, which I think this was in Super Mario 3D Land as well, where you'll get into this box, like you'll hit that and you'll get like a leaf, a golden leaf or whatever. You can get the white Tanuki suit, and it's kind of like the regular Tanuki suit, except for you're invincible when you wear it. So you can just kind of defeat most things by touching it. I do like that this gives you an option to kind of like keep going, because it's like, this level's hard, I want to get past it, but I don't want to just fully like skip the level and like do some kind of cheat thing to bypass it. I still want to play the level, but it's just really hard. It allows you to still play the level and feel like you beat the level, even if you had to kind of cheat to do it. It doesn't feel like you just missed out on all the stuff that was in the level. And I also like that they kind of like try to balance it as well, because if you do that, well, you can't get a true 100% completion if you do that. That's another thing you have to be wary of. If you're looking for that, do not ever take one of those. The box showing up is fine. And if you happen to take them at some point and then want to still get 100% completion, you can go back later and retry the level without ever getting one of those. And then if you beat it again later, the box will go away. Once you beat in a level, it won't ever show up again, though. So be careful of that. If you need to go back and do something in a level for whatever reason, like you missed collecting things there, if you didn't get the invincibility in there, it's not going to be there anymore if you beat it without using the thing. So something to keep in mind. But also they balance it as well, because some of the stars you can't get when you have that Tanuki suit on, because the white Tanuki suit can't be removed once it's on. Instant death traps still kill you, but like going in, falling off a bottomless pit, going in the lava, getting squished by certain things, falling off the back of the screen if it's auto-scrolling, that stuff will kill you. But like you can't get any other power-ups, so if you need to use like a fire flower to light something on fire, if you need to use the cat suit to like climb up something, if you need the boomerang to reach something, you can't use those. And once you're already in the white Tanuki suit, you just have it. So you have to like come back and try it again, or you'd have to like off yourself and then get the stuff you need. So it doesn't like give you a total free pass on everything. Is what I'm saying. And I do appreciate that. I guess I also kind of appreciate that the stamps are still here in the Switch version. I think other version differences is just for collection purposes, because they're still fun to get. I was also going to say that as far as version differences, like I mentioned, there's like the touchscreen kind of stuff. Those things have been switched. Another thing you might notice, which you might not notice if you haven't played Super Mario 3D World since it came out on Wii U, but going back and forth between the two, you definitely will notice that the Switch version does move faster. The characters will pick up speed faster and generally move faster. So you may have to adjust to that when you do it. And then generally I think it's a good thing because it feels good, I will say. And the other thing is that the one mechanic in the Wii U version they really didn't bother to replicate was there's some platforms that you have to like move by blowing into the microphone on the gamepad. Obviously the Switch does not have that microphone on it, so they just took that out and just made lifts that will just automatically go up and down or whatever and move around on their own. So I think that's probably also an improvement because the blowing thing was stupid. But maybe that's just me. And I will say that I think this game also handles completion very well, or I guess like beating the game very well. The satisfaction of playing it. I don't know how to exactly word this, but basically what I'm trying to say is like, so how do I put it? There are kind of like multiple like levels to how much you have beat this game, how much you like, there's like 100% completion, but there's also like beating this, beating that. Like there's regular worlds and there's like bonus worlds and there's like the super hard stuff at the end, the super challenging things, and then there's like trying to beat the game with everybody, so it's like getting all the stamps, getting all the stars, getting like the ending, seeing the credits. There's all these different variations of things you can do, and I think at whatever point that you stop, there's going to be a good stopping point for like a natural stopping point where you're like, yeah, that was fun, I enjoyed that. Maybe you beat Bowser and you're good. Maybe you want to do all the bonus worlds and then you're good. Maybe you want to beat the real final levels, and then you're good. Maybe you want to get through 100% everything, and none of these things feel like you're not really missing out on a ton of content when you're stopping at certain points, because you still have a lot of fun. The level of polish in this game is just very good. There's a lot of it feels like everything just kind of comes together in a way that's greater than the sum of its parts in this sense, and that's something I really like. So like when you're like the animations of things and the way the characters will move around and look at stuff, interact with each other, the way they can like run into the camera and some of these, hit the fourth wall basically in some of these levels, and like the voices lines they throw out there, the sound effects in this game, the music is very catchy, the visuals are very like, they're not like overly detailed or anything, but they're very like satisfying. Everything is just very like smooth and pretty and satisfying, and it's just like everything just kind of comes together in a way that does feel kind of magical. And that's not something I usually feel a lot in games, but I feel like they've done it super well here, to the point where it's like it feels like effortless in a way that also doesn't have the crazy like grandeur of like a mainline like 3D Mario adventure. but it still has like these really great like controls, interactions, and things that you would expect out of those, with the simplicity of how to go about playing it, of the more, I think, more popular side-scrolling kind of games. I think those usually sell more. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's true. Last I checked. So it's kind of this like great thing where it can get pretty challenging, but it's never too challenging. And it always gives you a bit of an out to be like, hey, you know what, you can do this instead. Hey, you can take the white Tanuki suit. That's totally fine. It's not a big deal. Hey, you can stop, after you beat, this Bowser and got the credits. There you go. You have, like, these outs where it's still going to be satisfying to finish that. You don't feel like, oh, I'm missing out on a bunch of game, or I didn't do anything, or whatever. But if you want that challenge, it's also there. And I think they've paced that really well. Not that it's, like, a super hard game, even with the hardest stuff, but, I think it's very good. It's come together very well. Like I said, I don't really even have that many complaints, as you heard. I mostly was talking about things that are like, like the controls. There's a lot of like mechanics that I think they should have fleshed out more, but like used it more or taught you more, that you even knew how to use them in the first place. A lot of mechanics you just won't even use because, like I say, you won't remember that you could do them. You never knew that you could do them, or they're just so situationally useful that, like, even if you totally, like, know about it the whole time, it's like, when am I actually going to use this? That's maybe something they should look into. But the variety of levels is great, and it's just kind of a blast. I guess some of the world theming isn't great. You're like, it's this world, and it's like, you would think the water world's all water levels, and it's like, not. That kind of thing is a little weird, but once you get over that and just enjoy the levels as they are, they're really good, and you're gonna have times where you replay the game and you're like, oh yes, I remember that level, I remember this level. And playing with someone else also is kind of a part of it too, where it's like playing certain things by yourself. Some of those levels are definitely a lot easier that way, but some levels are a lot easier with multiple people there. And so it is kind of interesting how that dynamic can work, where sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, and you can kind of work around that and try and get the most out of it depending on how many players you have. It's just a fun, like, interesting dynamic, and it never feels like, this thing has to be done. Other than a few stamps that do require specific characters, which can kind of make you play different characters, most of the things can be done by most characters. So, I don't know. I think the game definitely is just it's like kind of like a master class. It's very polished, but it's also understated in the sense where it's like, wow. Like, they definitely knew what they were doing. They got it down just right, and I don't know. It's something that it's a greater experience than it seems like on the surface, I guess, is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Okay, so for this wrap-up thing here at the end, I guess the thing about Super Mario 3D World is that I've already said, I think this game is I think it might be a masterpiece, and it's not something I throw around lightly or often. It might not be my favorite Mario game, but it's definitely up there at this point, because honestly, when I first played it on the Wii U, I was always like, this game is good. It was fun, but it's kind of whatever, And I think replaying it this time, I definitely saw a lot of things I didn't really appreciate, didn't really see before, that were also here this whole time. I replayed some of this on Wii U again just to see. And yeah, a lot of those things they were already here the entire time. It wasn't like the Switch version introduced them, even if it is the version you want to play. It has online play, it has the Bowser's Fury thing too as an extra. It's got like, things are a bit faster. I think that's the version you want. But either one is good. Either one is going to be really fun. And the thing is, I get it now. Like, there were a lot of people being like, this is like one of the best Mario games. This is my favorite Mario game. And I used to be like, man, I don't know, really? But I get it. I see it. Because it's the level of polish on these things. There's something with the way that everything comes together, of, the way the characters are interacting with, each other and the environments, and like I was saying already, the sound effects, the everything, the music, it all goes together in a way that is just effortless, and it just flows so perfectly. You're like, yes, the way you would want to play this game is like, yes, when you try to do things, they do what you would expect them to do. There's a lot of life in this game. There's a lot of like passion in this game. There's a lot of heart in it, and also playing with friends is another thing that will kind of bring you together as well. Whereas, like, obviously I played it alone originally, but playing through this with my friend, it was a lot more fun. Even though there's plenty of times when we were screwing each other over by accident, almost always by accident, and just at least always on my part was always an accident. But it's the kind of thing that is greater than the sum of its parts, and it becomes this thing where it's like somehow this little Mario game that seemed like it was just kind of trying to cash in on the thing of like, oh, Super Mario 3D Land, here's the world one, we'll just do it with multiple people on the console, ended up becoming one of the best Mario games that there is. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that was just a thing where I didn't realize that I would like this way more and appreciate it way more after playing it again, and that's something I don't get to experience a lot. So it's really cool. I'm glad I got to have that, and hopefully that was interesting to hear about. Hopefully I wasn't too all over the place and rambly. If there's anything I missed, go ahead and hey, for stuff in the comments if you want to do that, let me know which version do you prefer, or do you prefer Super Mario 3D Land? I'm almost tempted to play through that again. And also, in Super Mario 3D World, let me know who was your main? Who did you play as all the time? I pretty much played as Luigi, and I was kind of dunking on him a little bit with his jumps for a little bit there. I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of floaty. He's like, he's probably the worst character to play as. No. His jumps saved my ass so many times. That extra height is super, super handy, more than you might realize. You can get onto a lot of platforms that you can't with the same level of momentum with Mario. So, I mean, I ended up playing with Luigi most of the time anyway. So that was me. It was not just a coincidence that I had the Luigi hat for this. It's only mostly that because I bought this hat because I just like Luigi. But that's how it played out. And hey, the one last thing I will say, also, if you like to check out some stuff in the description, I have I'll link the playlist for the Let's Play of this game that I did with my friend Furf. As I mentioned, we recorded the whole thing that we played together, other than the stuff I cleaned up off camera. We recorded the Let's Play together, so if you want to watch a couple of people try to beat the game, not exactly pro strats, not exactly speedrunners or anything, but just having fun playing it, that'll be in the description. I'll put that there, and I think that's all I got. So yeah, this is great. If you don't already have it, you've been like, I don't know, is it good? Should I get it? You should. I think that's it. And I feel like I set up too many things. I also feel like wearing the Mario shirt when you can't even really see most of the shirt when I'm on the screen was also silly. But I thought it would be good for the video. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna do that, and you guys are gonna like the video for that, right? Just for that reason. What do you mean I should have a light where you can actually see my face like this? I'm a Luigi, number one.